What's up everyone, and welcome back to my Echoes of Time channel. Before we begin, please hit the subscribe button today. Let's get started. What made Agatha Christie go missing? These 4 options go from pranks to forgetting things. The famous mystery writer disappeared during the night on December 3, 1926, and no one saw him again for 11 days. What really happened? At 9:45 p.m. on Friday, December 3, 1926, Agatha Christie, who wanted to be a mystery writer, loaded her Morris Cowley car with a tiny amount of luggage, her driver's license, a photograph of her baby daughter, and a lot of money. Then she drove out into the cold night in Berkshire, England. The 36-year-old author wasn't there when her abandoned car was found in a chalk pit the next morning. The headlights were still on, and her packed suitcase and fur coat were still inside. 15,000 volunteer citizen detectives explored the English countryside for 11 days. The search got more and more urgent and evolved into a worldwide media event with dramatic daily front-page headlines. People came up with a lot of speculations about the author, who had written 6 mystery novels in 6 years and had some success but wasn't really well known yet. These included suicide, murder, a nervous breakdown, and a PR scam. The Daily Mail had a headline that said, "Mystery of Woman Novelist's Disappearance." On December 15th, Christie was finally found at the Swan Hydropathic Hotel in Harrogate, Yorkshire, which is around 220 miles away. She seemed to be forgetful when she checked in under a fake name and read a newspaper that made her disappearance the top item on the front page. Christie said she couldn't find her husband, but she did know him when he arrived to get her. The two sat down to an uneasy dinner while reporters took notes for the next day's front page. One headline said, "The mystery of the missing novelist has been solved." But they couldn't be more wrong. 100 years later, Christie biographers and real detectives are still trying to solve the mystery of why the most famous novelist in the world disappeared for 11 days in 1926. First idea: she wanted to get back at her husband. Christie's husband, Archibald Christie, was a handsome World War I aviation officer. They had been married for 12 years and had a 7-year-old daughter named Rosalind. If a clever investigator like Hercule Poirot, who is one of her most famous characters, were to look into a missing persons case, he would probably be the most likely suspect. Were they satisfied in their marriage? At first, the investigators thought the spouse was a kind guy and a military hero, but after Archie told them that, they became less sure. A key piece of information is that Archie told the police that his wife had left a message, but he had already read it and burnt it. Archie's alibi was backed up by the fact that he had spent the weekend visiting friends at a cottage nearby. He didn't tell the police that the occasion was an engagement party for Nancy Neal, a much younger family friend who would soon become his wife. Agatha knew about her husband's romance with another woman, and they had fought about it earlier that day before she went missing. Agatha wrote in her 1977 biography, "I've fallen in love with Nancy, and I'd like you to give me a divorce as soon as it can be arranged." Of course, he didn't tell the police anything like that. Could Mrs. Christie, who is about to divorce her husband, have come up with a plan to destroy the party by accusing him of murder? She was upset about the engagement party and angry about his affair. Many biographers have had this opinion over the years. Because she escaped at just the right time, Archie had to go back straight away, which stopped the party and made people suspicious of her husband, who had to pretend that Agatha had always wanted a happy marriage. Theory 2: she tried to disguise the fact that she had tried to kill herself. But the complicated strategy above would require a sharp and sound mind, which the writer probably didn't have. In 1926, Agatha Christie had a bad year. Her mother died, and her best friend Charlotte went missing. Archie decided to spend more time overseas instead of being there for his wife during these hard times. Christie wrote in her biography that she was genuinely sick for the first time in her life. She said that crying, forgetting things, and not being able to sleep were the first signs of a nervous breakdown. In a letter to Charlotte that was given to the police the night of the kidnapping, Christie claimed she needed to go away from here because it just isn't fair. Christie's biography, which is otherwise very informative, doesn't say anything about her strange absence, which she only talked about in public once to defend herself after her messy divorce. She told the Daily Mail in a short interview, "I felt like I couldn't go on. I was so nervous that night that I had to go home. I wanted to do something desperate." Even when things were really bad, she said she never tried to kill herself. This is a major difference since suicide is a crime and a sin that could cause the soon-to-be divorced woman to lose custody of her child. Instead, the author wrote about a dramatic scene. The automobile hit something and stopped suddenly. When I was thrown against the steering wheel, my head hit something. Up until this moment, I was Mrs. Christie. What happened next? She added that the blow made her forget things for a short while. Biographer Laura Thompson is almost sure that Agatha wanted to kill herself after going to the precise spot where Christie left her car. Thompson says that it's a fairly creepy and scary area, out in the middle of nowhere with water all around it. Just so you know, Agatha's car had a full tank of gas and was dented but still worked. Hypothesis 3. She was really having a rare kind of amnesia. Mrs. Christie vanished when she was slammed into the steering wheel. She bought a ticket to Harrogate at the train station and then checked into the Fancy Swan Hydropathic Hotel. The story says that a strange tourist named Mrs. Teresa Neal came all the way from Cape Town, South Africa. Yes, Neal. Christie signed it in her own unique handwriting, using the name of her husband's lover instead of any of the other names she could have chosen. Depending on how you look at it, the move could be a deliberate suggestion, a thoughtless mistake, or conduct that doesn't make sense and backs up Christie's official story of being confused and forgetting things. In the letter to Charlotte that we just talked about, Christie wrote, "My head is bursting," which is a worrying physical feeling that could be a sign of a rare mental illness. About 85% of people with dissociative disorders experience severe headaches. One of these illnesses, dissociative fugue, occurs when emotional trauma causes temporary memory loss. People that have this condition often roam and move around, making them look normal to people who don't know them. In this case, Mrs. Neal spent her time away from work talking to customers, singing and dancing the Charleston, sleeping in, and eating breakfast in bed. All of these things go against the idea that Christie was sad. Thompson said that even though Christie looked like she was having a fantastic time, she was actually going through a huge breakdown because she was very mentally stressed. But Thompson says she doesn't believe the amnesia idea for a second, even if many biographers say it does. Not at all. I think that was a made-up story to cover up what really happened. If the author didn't want to have to explain anything again, memory loss was a good excuse. Theory 4. It was the biggest and best publicity stunt in the world. During the 11 days that Christie was gone, Archie had another idea when he talked to the Daily Mail. My wife had talked about how she would hurt herself. She had been thinking of making herself disappear, perhaps for job reasons. At the time of her disappearance, Christie was a popular author, but not many people knew her. Her 6th book, The Murder of Roger Ackroyd, just came out and got good reviews for its surprising ending, which reveals that the narrator is the killer. In 1926, unreliable narrators were new, and readers felt cheated. But now that Gone Girl and Fight Club are out, it's hardly a big deal. Lucy Worsley, a historian, says in Agatha Christie, a very elusive woman, that Christie's reputation for being sneaky grew over time. Even now, a lot of people think that the whole thing was a publicity stunt to get attention, and if that's true, it succeeded really well. When the news of her disappearance came out in newspapers along with her serialized novels, book sales shot up right once. Christie was done with the little press's low-paying work when she got a big 6-book deal in 1930. Christie's departure, whether on purpose or not, made her a pioneer of what Worsley calls author as celebrity, which wasn't necessarily a good thing. Christie was rich and famous, but she was the 3rd best-selling novelist in the world, behind only Shakespeare and the Bible. She lived with the sad truth that her amazing career was mostly due to her worst embarrassment. Worsley said that it was unintended and quite uncomfortable, but it would become a key part of her huge success. Unlike all of Agatha Christie's other books, this one doesn't end with Hercule Poirot figuring out what occurred, how it happened, and why. Detectives from Christie's are still looking for clues in the past, and it makes sense. Even though there are a lot of complicated characters, plot twists, hidden motivations, and red herrings in her best mystery novel, Christie chose to leave it unsolved forever.